Ignite session. Well, actually, this is an Ignite session that I had done before that I really liked, and I thought it was really good. About even that the smallest spark can start a fire. You know, take that small spark and start it. But I was like, last night, this week, I'm like, no. I want to do something different. And for those of you that know me, my slides are going to be totally different than what I normally do. And my message, it may be a little controversial. It's something that it's really driven me as an educator, and so I really want to give you some food for thought. Here's something I'm sure you guys have heard before, right? We're preparing students for jobs that don't even exist. We're trying to get students ready for the future. But I have a problem, because I don't know what the future is going to look like. I don't know what skills they're going to need in 5 years or 10 years. I'm not sure. But before I want to move forward, I want to go to the past. And I want to, speaking of those cavemen, I want to share something that some of you may have read, some of you have not. This is one of, for me, the most important pieces of educational writing. It's 7 pages, it's from 1939. It's called the Saber-Tooth Curriculum. I want to share this story with you. We'll go back all the way to those cavemen that were learning how to use those tools. Of course, you have this happy family here. But you know what? It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. It was more like rain and death. And so, there's this guy, this one caveman, and he was a doer, and he was the first doer. And he was a super smart guy. And he said, you know what? We need to make some improvements. Those fish in the river, I think we can catch those with our hands. So I'm going to learn how to catch those fish with my hands. And so they started getting food on a consistent basis. And then there was some little woolly horses that were running around, and they said, you know what, we take a club, we hit them in the back of the head, guess what, bang! Those horses, more food. Finally, of course, you know, saber-toothed tigers, always a problem for cavemen. Well, he was really good at making fire, and so he drove this saber-toothed tigers away. So this is the first doer, right? And so he was a pretty smart guy, and he said, you know what, this is good stuff. I want to share this stuff with people. He went to the tribe elders and he said, let's make a school, right? These cool things that I just learned how to do, I can teach them to people. They can grow up and we can move forward. And they thought that was a great idea. And for a while, things were awesome, right? Kids were learning stuff and they were moving forward, and nobody was hungry, and there wasn't any saber-toothed tiger attacks, and they had plenty of woolly horses to hit over the head and prove their courage and strength. But of course, you know what happened to the cavemen, right? Change. Change is inevitable. Glacier came. Glacier came, Ice Age came. And it changed their whole world, right? So those streams where they used to catch fish, well, guess what now? Full of mud. How can you catch the fish if you can't see them? The woolly horses, they ran away. They found some better grounds, better pastures. Finally, the saber-toothed tigers, they died. Well, that's pretty awesome, except for the fact that some bears came instead and took over their territory. And so, they were like, well, what do we do now? They went back and they were having trouble surviving again. And so three cavemen got a brilliant idea. One of them noticed that when he went to the river, the fish, to kind of get out of the mud, they were hiding under the banks. And so he said, you know what, the fish are all together. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to create a net, and I can go and I can get those fish. And they started to have food again. And that was awesome. Another guy, super hungry, walking through the forest. And he noticed some antelope. There was no more horses, but there was antelope. So he said, you know what, I'm going to get some vines. I'm going to make a snare. And we're going to eat some more food again. No longer being hungry. So another gentleman, did they like that? Another gentleman, he was watching the bear, and he noticed, you know what, this bear, I noticed that it's kind of walking on the same trail every day. So what happens if I dig a pit, I put some spikes on the bottom, and cover it up? Bear falls in, bear dies. Came back down. And so they were super excited about all these great ideas. We're going to change the future. We're no longer going to have this problem. And so they went to the school, and they went to the elders, and they say, hey, guess what? We have these cool new things that is going to revolutionize our students in our future. It is awesome. We should teach them. It's great. You know what the elders said? Oh, sorry. I missed this part. It's going to change our future. You know what the elders said? No? You know why? They said that fish that we catch, that is an important skill. Catching fish, you know why? It teaches agility. That's why we need to keep it. And you know, like clubbing horses, even though there's no horses to club around, teaching that skill, guess what? That teaches strength. And fire making to scare bears away, to scare the saber tooth, that teaches courage. We need to teach those things still. And so one of the cavemen, he said this: "You will have to admit that times have changed. Couldn't you please try these more up-to-date activities? Maybe they have some educational value after all." And so hopefully you're starting to see the metaphor that I'm drawing here. And you're thinking about, well, why? Well, there's two real points that I want to make for you. Number one, change is inevitable. It's going to happen whether we want it to or not. The internet came, it changed things. Google, it changed things. Computers that are growing into classrooms at an exponential rate, right? Times are changing. Number two, here's what I think. We need to think about the past and some of the practices that are in the past, right? And I get that. But I'm not quite sure how to teach the future, because the future is not here yet. But here's what I'm going to tell you. I think we should teach the now. And here's the thing about teaching to the now. If we teach to the now, the now is always changing. So in 6 months, if we teach the now, we're going to be teaching differently. And in a year, if we teach the now, we're going to still be teaching differently. So teach to the now. Let's take some examples right here. This look familiar? A resume, right? We used to have to type those up, turn them in. Now, guess what I need to do to apply McDonald's? Right there, online. Medicare? Fill out the form, check the boxes. Now, you want Obamacare? This is where you go. Click to enroll. It's all online. And so, you know, we still argue about what are the skills that we need to teach. What is important? What's not important? Well, cursive. Is it important? To some people, maybe. To some people, not. I heard an argument the other day. I was talking to Josh about, we need to still read our original documents. They were written in cursive. You know some other original documents that were written in something like cursive? Hieroglyphics. Do we need to know hieroglyphics? No. We don't use them. We don't need to memorize them. We can look them up. Is it a skill that we teach our students? Even keyboarding. You know, if we are teaching to the now, yeah, we should teach keyboarding, but we need to move on past keyboarding too. There's something called voice dictation. There are doctors that are writing papers with their voice. So yes, teach keyboarding, but think about it. I'm not telling you what to teach. I'm not teaching you how to teach. Here's what I'm asking you to do, is I'm asking you to think. And I'm really challenging you to think, why am I teaching what I'm teaching? And if you're thinking about like those fish that you're catching for agility, for the sake of teaching agility, there's other ways to teach agility. And if you're thinking about those horses that you club for strength, there's other ways to do that too, right? And so here's a question I need to ask you. You need to ask yourself, am I preparing my students for the now? And if the answer is no, then I challenge you to think and to teach differently. Because here's what I want you to remember. I want you to take away, teach to the now. That is what I leave you with. Thank you.